problem is that the vast majority of people don't A, know where a doctor is, which we solved the problem here. B, don't know how to even, report an injury or get a claim initiated. Or C, are just scared of management. Who here is scared of management? It's okay to raise your hand. I mean, it's fine. I mean, it happens. Your managers have the power to hurt you. Now we're live, and so that means there are some supervisors watching, and that's just how it goes. I get asked all the time, would you go and train my supervisors? I say, yeah, but they won't like it. Because the thing I tell you, I'll tell them too. But those are the three reasons that claims aren't accepted, they're denied, or never initiated. Is can't find a doctor, don't understand the system, and scared. Right? So does everyone know that the laws in OWCP are meant to protect you, not to penalize you? If you didn't know, now you know. Because except for one law, every law is there to tell the supervisors how to do their job. And every law there is there to penalize them if they do a bad job. The only law that is even worth thinking about that could hurt you is the one that says don't lie. As long as you don't file a false or fraudulent claim, you're good to go. And so fear shouldn't even be an issue. Now, not being able to find doctors, that's a serious problem. There's nobody else in this state that either A, wants you to know they do it, or B, wants you to even call them and ask about it. Because it's hard. And I know it's hard because that's what we do. We train all these offices. This office has done a fantastic job with the training they've gotten. But we get 100 no's from doctors for every one that says yes. So, Dr. Cox, thank you for saying yes. They're celebrating their 2-year anniversary with Federal Injury Centers. And in 2 years, they've gotten 224 injury claims approved. Does that sound good or good? That's awesome. So that's good, but it's also not so good because that's about 2 people a week. So I like to ask this question. I'm going to ask a few. This is going to be interactive. 2 a week. Who here knows at least one person at work that's hurt? At least one. Who knows more than one? Where are they at? Well, many of them are not here. And that's our problem. There are so many of you. And that we've gotten 224 claims approved is awesome. We're super happy about it. But it leaves me just thinking, what about all the people we haven't helped yet? And that's the big problem because they either A, don't know we're here to help, or B, are scared to come. Or like I said, C, they don't know how to initiate a claim. But everyone here is going to learn something tonight where you can help with those problems. First of all, everybody here and everybody watching online can do one simple thing. Go ahead and everyone raise your hand because you're all going to say yes. Everybody. Who can tell one person that we can help them? Everybody, right? And we have brochures all around this place. Same show of hands. Who can take a brochure to somebody? All right. And many of you probably have already. In fact, I train all the offices now to make sure to ask everybody every time. And they say, well, Jenga. And then I'll get, well, what if I asked them last time? Well, that's fine because they know more than one person that needs help. So it's okay to ask every single time. So you should ask so often that when they leave, if you don't ask them, they say, hey, did you forget something? Because we know that the biggest barrier to your coworkers getting help is just knowing that we're here. That's the biggest barrier. We do so much in marketing promotion to get the word out that we're doing it. But nothing is more effective than you telling a friend. It's the most effective way. So you think about it, who here has their claim accepted? Who's one of the 224 in the room? Congratulations. That feels better than having a denied claim, right? Imagine how your friends feel. Because you have somebody at work that's saying, well, this has never happened to anybody else but me. I'm on an island all by myself. But that's not true. It happened to you. Okay, you probably know 2 or 3 other people each that it's happened to. And the ones that had their claims approved, they had an easier time. I'm not going to call it an easy time, but an easier time. Right? So that's number one. Everyone can tell somebody because we got to get the word out that there's help. That's key. Fear, I'll say this to your supervisors. Who's a union rep in the room? Just you? That's it? Okay, well, for all the other ones that are watching, union reps, stewards, presidents, vice presidents, everybody, they have all the power. Now, I say this and I get pushback from people that have had frustrating times with their union. And I'm not talking about those because there's a lot of union reps that are willing to roll their sleeves up and get their hands dirty. And so number one is for fear is have help, have someone in your corner, right behind you. There's only one union rep, so you're it. They're all very grateful. But that's what we need, to get rid of fear. But what we should start doing is pass around the real rumor, because the rumor is if you get hurt, you're going to get fired. That's the rumor. If you get hurt, they're going to harass you. That's a fact. It happens. But the truth is, when the claim is approved, it's illegal to fire you. Now, who would like to have a situation where it doesn't matter what the supervisors think, they can't do the thing they're threatening you to do? Because that's what happens when your claim is approved. So for us, right now, 224 people here cannot be threatened to be fired. Now, I just said cannot. We have this talk all the time. She'll say, well, can this happen or can't? And I'll say, well, it can happen, but it's not going to be good. It can. The supervisors can threaten to fire you, but they're going to get in trouble. And that would be good. So fear, we should be able to get rid of that by just passing the word along that when we get your claim approved, you have pretty good protection. Pretty good protection. So I wish I had my notes on that thing. We landed today. We travel for a living. I don't know. Those of you that follow us know we've been everywhere. Anybody heard of that airplane in Boston? They hit another airplane. We were on that plane. Yeah. Nobody was hurt. I was asleep and I thought, wait, did that thing just hit the front wheel, to push the plane back? That's what it felt like.
No, you thought we
Oh yeah, did we just land? I fell asleep and like 10 minutes later I asked to land. Anyways, so with all the traveling, I got here today and I said, gosh, I don't even know what I'm going to say. And even still, I'm not looking at my notes because I almost never do. So again, who's going to tell somebody? Tell everybody. That's actually better. Who's going to tell everybody? Okay, that's even better. Pass the word around that there's no reason to be fearful. And I have this saying I like for everyone to repeat because it has to do with fear. So you have to repeat after me. I don't care what my supervisor thinks. Everybody that follows me online is going, I knew he's going to say that. I say it all the time. Right. So for those of you that are watching online, what she said is the supervisor is telling you have to go someplace, but now you're learning you don't have to. And this is something that I was speaking about with Danielle earlier too, is that a lot of people were told they have to go to some urgent care. And I don't want to say the name of the urgent care because I don't want to make them mad, but you all know who it is, okay? Because you probably know where all your supervisors send everybody. But the bottom line is they don't have a right to send you anywhere. Did you know that the law, among other things, says that they're required to tell you it's your right to choose?
They don't tell you that.
No, it's a laughable law, but it is the law. They're not going to tell you, but now you know. So who here can tell a friend you can go wherever you want to go? Let me tell you what happens. And we love nurse practitioners and PAs. Love them. But when you go to an urgent care, the nurse practitioners and PAs there often don't get medical signatures. Guess what that is? That's an automatic denied claim. Your supervisors are sending you to an automatic denied claim. Does that sound bad or bad? Why are we complying with supervisors? I don't care what they think. So you should know. You don't have to go there. You can go there. Some of you may say, well, I got enough problems with management as it is, so I'm just going to do it. Okay, but tomorrow, call somebody else, like here. The problem with the doctors that you're getting sent to is A, they're not trained, and B, they're not medical doctors signing anything. Those are two serious problems. I get told all the time that some coworker said, you need an ortho. I've sprained my ankle enough times that it's probably rubber by now, okay? But sprained ankles are not surgical, right? There's a lot of things that are not surgical that you wouldn't need an ortho for anyways. You're just not going to need it. And if you did, they refer you out, right? So that's a problem because guess what surgeons want to do? Something with a blade, right? Not with a pen. They don't want to write narrative reports. So those claims aren't getting accepted. ERs, the doctors are busy. They don't have time to write narrative reports. So those claims aren't getting accepted. Your family practice doctor, who you love and you send all your family to, doesn't even know anything about OWCP. So what do you expect to happen? And that's why one of the big problems is doctors not having enough. We'll probably never have enough. I can't imagine a situation where there would ever be enough doctors. But when you have at least one, then you have a fighting chance. And so that's the message that I'm giving everybody all the time now. I teach these 25 things that you can do to get your claim accepted. And that's for people in Iowa and North Dakota and Montana where we don't have doctors yet. But here, I don't have to teach that lesson. I don't have to teach you 25 things that you can do yourself to get your claim approved because we do all those things for you. And who's going to tell their friends that? Because I'm going to tell you, and you know it, OWCP is a pain in the butt. It is not fun for anybody. I've never known anybody that said, man, I'm so happy I have an OWCP claim. I get to go through this again. Because it's always again. I mean, who understands you're going to have multiple injuries throughout your career? And I told them I was going to ask this question, so I hope you don't make me a liar. Raise your hand if you've been with your agency more than 20 years. See? More than 30 years. Keep them up. Who wants to just retire one day? Okay? Now, almost everybody in the room raise their hand. How do you make it to retirement if you can't make it to your next work shift? How do you make it through your next work shift if you can't get better because you can't afford to get better? Or because you didn't get continuation of pay, which gives you up to 6 weeks of time off. And so you didn't have any way to be off of work to get better so you can get back to work. Those are all problems that people are dealing with when their claims aren't approved or when they're too scared to even try. And those are things that together we can fix. I have an audience and I can tell people, but I can't tell the people who haven't heard of me before. Most of the people in the room have never seen us do this before. And, that's my fear is that I'm just not going to be able to touch people in time. Every single time I meet people in person, somebody in this room is probably thinking it right now. Somebody will say, I wish I would have known you 2 years ago when I got hurt. Because I went through it and I wish I wouldn't have. So right now, what's happening is you have people at work and they're going through it right now. They're going through it. And one day they're going to find us by accident, like so many people did. And they're going to say, I wish I would have known about you then. And it's a problem we can all solve. So that's always my message now. The one thing we can all do is tell somebody that they're not on an island alone.
Chris, how long have you been doing this?
I have personally been doing this since 2007.
How long have you been involved federal, injury and/or cases like this?
I've been working with cases like this since 2007.
2007.
Yeah. Now, we started federal injury centers 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago now, but
You have so much knowledge. I just want to share that.
well, and he's right. And I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but over the years, I've been involved in tens of thousands of cases for 2.8 million federal employees. I'm just barely scratching the surface. I've helped more people, I think, than anybody else in the world when it comes to OWCP, and still most of the people in the room never heard of it. That's a serious problem. It's hard to overcome, and that's why I walk in and say, tell somebody, right? Send a text, send a smoke signal, whatever it takes. Let's get the word out that there's help. And for everyone else that's watching, we've got offices, I think now in 25 states. Soon we got a Portland office coming. That's our new office. We've got South Carolina over here in Greenville. Hello, thank you for coming. And in all of our offices, we have one thing in common, if nothing else. Our one thing in common is we're all hitting 100 accepted claims fast. They already hit 200. We have one that's been with us. He's just hit 600. We're getting all these claims accepted for the people that can find us. And it's a shame to let your coworkers go and not have the same help that we do. So with that said, I'm going to open it up to questions. I'm sure people have some, and she is probably going to read some questions from online, and I'll answer those too. Anybody got anything? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so the question is, what about continuation of pay? Continuation of pay is 45 days of time off, up to 45 days of time off. The way to qualify is to have an injury that happened in a single shift, a CA1 injury. And in that CA1 injury, you have to report your injury within 30 days. And if you report within 30 days, you're eligible for up to 45 days of time off. But here's the big problem. I'm glad that was the first question, by the way, because someone that misses their COP deadline, guess what else? They missed their CA16 deadline. Who here has ever heard of a CA16? All right. Who here has heard of money? Money. Because the CA-16 lets you keep all of it. Okay, when you don't have a CA-16, you have to pay the medical bills for the first 60 days, unless you come here where we don't take any money from you ever. But anywhere else, they're going to take your money. A CA-16 pays your medical bills for the first 60 days following an injury that happened in a single shift. Now, if you got hurt in a single shift injury and you were told that today you get 60 days, 2 months of medical bills paid and 6 weeks of time off, do you think you'd have a fighting chance to get better and get back to work? I know for sure you would, because many injuries will resolve in that period of time. And it's being paid for by somebody else, not you, and that's all that matters, except for this. Also, you never have to pay it back. So it's 60 days of medical bills that you never have to pay back, even if we do the worst job ever and can't get your claim through, which won't happen. But when you miss your 30-day deadline for COP, you missed your deadline for the CA-16 because it's 7 days. And what happens is, and I've said this before, so somebody out here is going to make fun of me, but I think like to rub some dirt on the tables over there, you look like a pretty strong man. And so if I'm hurt, maybe I'm going to feel better later. Well, you wait, and in a week, you realize I don't feel better. You lost your CA-16 forever. All you have to do is report your injury now. You report it now, you're eligible for medical bills being paid and being paid for time off. Now, can you see how if you just start like that, it's a lot less frustrating of a process? Unfortunately, most people start out, they rub some dirt on it, they're fearful of their supervisors, and a month or so later, they're still hurting, they're struggling through their shift, they're probably getting written up because they can't do the job right, which is harassment in and of itself. And so they say, all right, fine, I'm going to report my injury, and it's too late. You can report and you can get help, but you can't have COP and you can't have a CA-16. I'm glad you asked that question first. Who else? What questions are you seeing? Okay, so the CA-16 is a form, and I should have said that too. It's a piece of paper that when it's filled out and it's given to your doctor, all your medical bills are covered for the first 60 days after an injury. They're paid for by the government because your claims aren't approved yet. And so they give you a way to get medical attention because a lot of doctors won't take you without that form. And most doctors have never heard of that form because they can't spell DOL. But when they can, the CA-16s are really good for you. And because you asked me that question, it reminded me this. Most of our claims are approved within 4 weeks. When they told me this today, the smile is probably, I'm going to sleep with a smile on my face. Because when I first started doing this, it was nothing to see 6 months. If you got your claim approved in 3 months, that was a big deal. But some things have happened. We have, I think, and are still perfecting our system of how we write narratives. But to get a claim accepted in 30 days, that means that your 60 days is not necessary for who's going to pay your bills. You don't need it. Because as soon as your claim gets approved, it's cut off anyways. It's not necessary anymore. And then the other thing it does when you get your claim approved in 30 days is you don't need all 45 days of continuation of pay. Because now you can be paid by OWCP through LWOP, leave without pay to be off of work. So we're getting claims accepted at a pace that shocked me, and I do this for a living. But you got to get here, and you're here, thank you, but we got to tell other people. What other questions do we have? You too.
I have one.
Yeah.
Does the CA-7 also include travel to and from the office, and how many hours a week for PT does the CA-7 cover?
That's a loaded question. Okay, so a CA-7 is called a claim for compensation. It's how you get paid for time off when your claim is accepted. And when you're out of continuation of pay, you should immediately start filling out the CA-7 because you wait till the claim gets accepted and you got to fill out a stack of papers, and that can be overwhelming. But the question is, can we get paid to drive to the doctor? And I'm going to explain it in the hours. So you get to be paid up to 4 hours of your work shift to get medical attention and go back to work. Who knew that? Up to half of your shift, you can be out on leave without pay. What you would do, and drive time, it's whatever time you're off the clock. I clocked out to go to the doctor, you get up to 4 hours. It doesn't mean 4 hours when you get here, you have up to 4 hours. And you just have to account for that separately from your time on the clock, which is easy because you have a time clock. What else?
So that doesn't apply to a rural carrier.
Okay, so rule carriers are different, but it doesn't mean the rules are different. It means the agency's rules are different. OWCP allows all federal employees the same rules, the same benefits. But as a rule carrier, they usually won't give you limited duty. And they usually won't let you take half a day off. They'll make you take a full day, which is wasteful because you could go work half a day and they won't let you. But that's an agency thing. It's not an OWCP. Everyone else gets better benefits.
So we still get a full day pay?
Yeah, because you had to be out any period of time, they want you to take the whole day. Yeah. So I think what you're asking is if when you're on leave without pay, you're out of work, they also pay the overtime hours. You're getting paid your regularly scheduled. Whatever your regular schedule is what you're going to be eligible for. If overtime is not a regular schedule thing based on your route evaluation, then I don't think you're going to get the overtime. But somebody's now going to correct me if I'm wrong, because I have people that just jump all over me when I'm wrong. Yeah.
And I'll be paid the overtime, but then every time I work overtime, it'll be the same thing.
So I'm guessing that the answer to your question is it depends. And before we leave here, I'm thinking somebody's going to answer my question. So the question is rule carrier? I don't think it matters, rule carrier or not. Can any BA, okay, if your regular schedule is overtime, do you get paid overtime in LWOP? I'm pretty sure if it's not a regular schedule thing, you're not getting. But if you're scheduled 48 hours and you can't anymore, why would you get paid for 40 and not 48? Yeah, but when you're out of work, you're not working anytime. And now I'm curious, can we get paid LWOP for the overtime hours too?
Well, she's working, but she's working.
Okay.
And it's paying me overtime. They're gonna call Texas, they'll fix it so that I get it, because it says something about if you're under the workers' comp, yeah, you can do it, but then every week, every week, it's something different, so they put it in there and say they paid it, then they say.
Well, so the answer to overtime hours when you are working is it depends on what your doctor says. If on their CA-17 form, they say, yes, you can work overtime, then you can work overtime. That's a medical decision. Yeah. The supervisors really, because they don't have medical licenses, at the VA, some of them might, but they're not really allowed to overrule the doctor's orders on the CA-17. Sorry, I don't know how I got that question so wrong so many times. Who else? So the CA2 doesn't have the same rules as the CA1 when it comes to the CA-16 and when it comes to COP. Anybody with a CA2 claim, which is anything that happens over 2 or more shifts, they're not eligible for those 2 things. However, everyone has 3 years to report an injury. Who thought it was 30 days? 2 weeks, 3 days. Everyone has 3 years to report an injury, whether it's a CA1 or CA2. And the claim itself is handled exactly like a CA1. You still need a doctor to write a great narrative. You still need to get a diagnosis approved. And from there, you can still get treatment just like it's a CA1 claim. The only difference is you're not eligible for those first 2 things I talked about, the COP and the CA-16.
Okay.
Right, which is time off, because they figure, well, you've been working with this thing anyways. We're not going to give you continuation of pay. You can just have modified duty and keep working. And they assume, well, it's you've been dealing with this, so it's not an emergency. You don't need a CA-16 to pay your bills. I don't think it's fair, but those are the rules.
But they can't accommodate you.
Correct. Nothing changes on accommodations. Now, accommodation at work is another thing that you guys get lied to about all the time. Limited duty assignment. So who here has seen or experienced a supervisor putting your signed limited duty offer in front of you saying, sign this now? Okay, so this table, that's the limited duty assignment table. So did you know that that's totally against the rules?
Yes.
And I was talking to Dr. Cox about this because I've been doing this for so long, but I only just looked these rules up like a month ago. And it turns out they're just common sense rules. A supervisor putting a limited duty assignment in front of you as a non-medical person makes no sense. How do you know what to accept? So the rule actually says this, they have to give it to you and your claims examiner. Well, why are they giving it to the claims examiner? Great question. Because now the claims examiner is going to review the limited duty assignment and notify you that there's a suitable offer on the table for you. Now, if they're going to notify you, why did you need to sign it already? They give you 30 days to show it to your doctor. The Code of Federal Regulation says you have 30 days to show it to your doctor from when the claims examiner notifies you, not from when the supervisor notifies you. And then if there's a dispute, they give you another 15 days. So that's up to 45 days. It sounds more or less than now. Now it's just ridiculous because you're not medical people. If I saw one, and I worked with doctors my entire adult life, I wouldn't know for sure if it was okay for me. And then I heard a stat too. I'm not going to say his name because he was in a meeting, but somebody I trust very much was in a meeting at OWCP where they said that in a review that they did, 90% of limited duty offers were incorrect, did not match the CA-17 limitations. And supervisors are trying to get you to sign this right now. And OWCP found that 90% were bad. Man, that's going to hurt a lot of people, right? So you don't have to accept these and do it right now. The law allows for you to have at least 30 days to review. In other words, at least 30 days to let your doctor to make sure you can be safe at work. And that's the whole point. These are good questions. They're making me remember to say other things.
This goes back on the CA7. He says, how does it work if you're a first 40 employee?
First 40?
Yeah.
What, like, I've been working for 40 days? Who knows what that means?
Okay.
I guess that means that.
CA?
So all federal employees are covered by OWCP. All federal employees on day one are covered by this. It doesn't mean that the agency won't try to terminate you because you're within whatever, your 90 days or something, but everyone is still covered. Can the agency fire you? They can do it, whether it's unethical or illegal is a whole different thing. But no matter what, a person who's new, within their first few minutes of being a federal employee, has lifetime medical benefits that will be covered where you can at least get better. I can't keep the agency from doing unethical things, but you do have the right to get better. Once you work 40 hours, you're done for the week. Oh, I don't know. So this is an agency specific question. I don't know how the supervisors react. This person's saying,
There's no clock in and clock out.
once you work 40 hours, you're done for the week. I don't know, but I know that if you're on premises, like you're in the parking lot 30 minutes early and you get hurt in the parking lot, you're covered. If you are clocked out and you're on your way out to your car, you're covered. Some of you rural carriers especially are covered on the drive home and the drive to work because you're using your own vehicles. So there's a lot of instances where it really doesn't matter if it's 40 hours or not. What else? Yes, ma'am. Okay, so Federal Injury Centers has medical doctors, chiropractors, depends on the office, medical doctors, chiropractors, physical therapists, nurse practitioners, PAs. Did I say physical therapists? Occupational therapists. We presently don't have mental health professionals like psychologists, psychiatrists, but we are working on building that network so we have doctors we can refer you to. Hit me. Okay.
Well, we get information from agencies, and they medical documentation to the postmaster's office. That's not true.
Okay, so
Postmaster.
no, the question, I want to make sure that the rest of the world hears the question. The question is, when the agency says you have to take your medical documentation to the post office or postmaster, is that true? Here's what they're allowed to have. There's a form called a CA-20. It's an attending physician report. We can fill that out, and they can have that. They're allowed to. They're allowed to have a CA-17, which has your work restrictions. Your specific medical narrative report goes through e-comp to your claims examiner. And so, we just e-comp it, right? And it shows up in your e-comp file. But there are certain things your supervisor or the postmaster does have a right to, and I just named the two, right? Now, let's say they want a narrative explaining your situation. our doctors can do that for you. No problem. We're not trying to rock the boat. You have enough problems. But there's no rule that says that they get that stuff, right? Those forms are special forms for OWCP and they have a purpose for that.
And
Thank
they
you for
can't,
that question.
yeah, they can't call the office requesting for your.
Oh, yeah,
information.
that's another thing. So there's actually a law in the Code of Federal Regulations that says that the supervisor, the agency can't call your doctor and ask stuff about you without your knowledge, without your consent. And so our procedure is that the supervisor does that. We ask them if they know they're breaking the law by calling us. And then we just let you know and you go file a grievance, which I love grievances. What else? Yeah.
If they paperwork that they need, and they still ask you what is your medical condition. I mean, I know a doctor, I don't have the terminology that the doctor does explain them. So I give the paper, I don't have to be telling them my
Right.
condition or anything like that.
So the question is, what happens when you file an injury claim and they have, say, a CA-20 or a CA-17, and they still ask you to explain more about your medical condition? Okay, this is my answer, but I'm fairly good at being sarcastic. It's, first of all, I'm not a doctor and I don't understand it, but I probably understand it better than you would if I tried to explain it to you. They're not doctors either. What do you want a medical report for that you can't understand the words on the page? There's some of the stuff is pretty complex. Like I said, I've been doing it my entire life. There's still some words I've got to say, what does that mean? They're not going to know. And also, you just don't have to.
I was called to our office. I have my packet. There. And I said, well, I'm not carrying anything. She said, well, you have your packet. You're carrying your packet with it. And I said, yes, this is my packet. Well, this is the right side. I need you the left side.
Yeah.
She's trying to bother me, and she called me. She's a talk. She called me to our office to talk to me about it.
Did you have a union rep with you?
No, I didn't know that she was going to ask me anything like that.
Yeah, so all the stewards that I know that I've trained would say nobody goes in the supervisor's office without me. Right? Because they're just gonna gang up on you. And there's a lot of people, like all the people that haven't heard me talk yet, that don't know what to do in that situation. In that situation, and this is what I know from all the stewards and presidents and everybody else in the unions I've ever worked with, is they say, look, we want you to let me know, or have the supervisor let me know that I need to be there with you. They don't have a right to interrogate you about something you're not an expert at. You're not a doctor. I mean, whatever you say could be wrong and you wouldn't even know it. You're just doing the best you can.
I don't even know that
You can request a steward. Yeah. Yeah, so you can request a steward to be present and then have the meeting. That's what I would do. Yep. I'm pretty sure that all the various contracts say something along those lines. Any other questions?
All right. Yes.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
What kind of leave should I take? Because obviously I'm not getting.
Was your claim accepted or not accepted? Okay, it's a CA2. So you don't have continuation of pay. So your only options are going to be sick and annual. Or you can leave without pay and get that time back later.
Okay, now I heard you say that on YouTube.
Yeah.
The thing in the don't move the leave without pay. Can't remember exactly what the thing was. So yes, change leave without pay.
So I'm not telling you to do that.
No.
I'm telling you what
So
your options are.
for-
Then you can do it. Yep.
Because I want to leave back to work.
But understand that if the claim is never approved, you'll never get that time back. So there's a little bit of a risk, but there's also a risk with continuation of pay on a CA1, because if that claim's not approved, you might have to pay the COP back. Which, Dixie, how many people have we had here that have ever paid back COP? Zero. Yeah, because we get our claims approved. We get our claims approved. But you can do it. If you understand the risk, then your eyes are wide open. You look like you're about to say something.
did use my own time for years. And I had gone for it.
Yeah, so the good news is it's not too late. If your claim is approved and you use your own sick and annual leave, you can do leave buyback. That's not free, but at least it gives you an option to get your time back. Well, to the extent that it's not free to get your leave back, yeah, but it's a fraction of what you used. So it's a personal decision everyone has to make. You fill out a form CA7B, and by the time you get to the end of the form, you'll know if you want to do it or. Right, exactly. I knew. Who asked? Okay, who's ever heard of a schedule award? Okay, again, who's heard of money? Because that really is what a schedule award is. When you're at what's called MMI, the doctors put you at maximum medical improvement. They're saying you're as good as you're going to get. And I hope it's 100%, but it's not always, right? When it's not 100%, that extra percentage that you're going to have an impairment for the rest of your life, that is what they use to give you the money. So when you're at MMI, you get an impairment rating. The impairment rating gets attached to the CA7 claim for compensation, and that gets sent in. And when it's approved, if it's approved, it's generally not approved on the first time, but we deal with the denials like we would any other denial. But once it's approved, you start getting paid based on a schedule of awards. That's why it's called a schedule award. And so it's money, but unfortunately, the spine is not covered. Does that sound fair? No, because most injuries are probably lumbar injuries that aren't otherwise shoulder or knee, but the shoulder and knee are covered. Spinal conditions are not covered unless they cause problems in the arms and legs. And then you can get an impairment rating for the arms and legs, but not for the spine. And it's not because there's no rating for it, because the guide that these doctors have to use, it has a rating for the spine. Just OWCP doesn't allow it.
And okay, what do you mean when you say get your time back?
So when I'm talking about getting time back, I'm saying anybody that used their sick and annual leave to be off work for a work injury, because now you have the leave buyback form where you can go get your time back. You're buying your time back.
Works like that.
Yeah.
There's no time limit, like say the injury was 10 years ago, and you're still having problems.
That's a great question.
So, I mean, still,
Awesome question. In fact, I'm going to answer it so thoroughly that I'm going to talk about timelines. Because timelines are the one thing that I can't fix. There are not two things I can't fix. There's one thing that I can't fix, and that's missing deadlines. If you wait 8 days to file a CA1, I cannot help you get a CA16. If you wait 31 days to file a CA1, I cannot help you get COP. If you wait more than 3 years to report your injury, I can't help you get that injury claim accepted. Okay, under certain circumstances I can, but I don't want to confuse you. For the most part, I can't help, right? So 3 years is really important. If you have a denied claim and you want to do reconsideration, you have 12 months to do a reconsideration, not 12 months and 1 day. So these are things that are hard to overcome. On that note, we had a lady who, by the grace of God, she had her phone in front of her. And I say that, and every time I say, I'm like, she always has her phone in front of her, unless she's asleep. But she had her phone in front of her just like that. And somebody sent a Facebook message that said, I think I'm going to miss my reconsideration deadline. Can you help me? When was it due? In 15 minutes.
oh,
In 15 minutes. But I had an appeal request form saved to my phone, and we got it sent to this lady. And she got it in with 3 minutes to spare. In 4 minutes, I wasn't going to be able to help her with that. So don't miss your deadlines. But I said all of that because the schedule award deadline is still being alive. As long as you're living, you're eligible for a schedule award. There's no cutoff for it whatsoever. A lot of people don't even know it. In fact, there's a lot of people that never heard of a schedule award. Their doctors didn't know about schedule awards, and they had a shoulder injury or a knee injury, and they didn't realize that they're even eligible for this, that it's even an option. So it's a lifetime option. You have it forever. That was a great question. Who else? Nobody? Okay, so again, Wednesday night, OWCP chats with Chris and Gini. That was an accident that time. So with me, I'm Chris. And we do this every Wednesday. It's usually at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We are training on a variety of topics. Sometimes we just open it for Q&A, and I get questions from all around the country. And it turns out that the questions that those people have are questions that you wish you would have asked too. And if you'll tell people to follow us, we can help anybody, anytime. We don't just help on Wednesday nights. We answer Facebook messages, YouTube messages, Instagram messages. We answer questions every day. But we go on and we do training every week. And if you'll just tell your friends at work, who doesn't have a friend at work? Because that's a different issue we'll have to deal with. Find a friend and tell them to watch Wednesday night OWCP chats with Chris and Gini. Wednesdays at 8 o'clock, because that's where we're able to really help people. So tomorrow they wake up and they don't have that same problem. There's almost no problem we can't answer right now. And we love the chance to be able to help because don't you know, there are so many people that aren't in range of one of our doctors. And here you are anyways. You deserve an award. Okay, so please tell somebody who's willing to do that for me. My audience will never be big enough. I can never help enough people, but with your help, we can at least make a dent. And I really appreciate that. Thank you all for coming. We're going to be sticking around until the last person's gone. And this is for you. Thank you. Okay. I heard you say you have a question. I'm still here. Where are you thinking of? I'm in 25 states. We have one in a town called Lloydsburg, which is half an hour from Philly. That's the only one right now. I'm talking to a guy out of Pittsburgh, and I'm talking to somebody else that's much closer to Philadelphia. And I've got two in New Jersey, which is fairly close. Yeah, so we're half an hour out of Philly, north, near Allentown. And then,
Thank you. Welcome.